whatever limiting beliefs you have about yourself, you've got to let them go. Like, if you're not going to do something that you want to do because you're setting yourself back and saying, you know what, I don't want to do it. I feel uncomfortable. This is not what I want to do. It's not me. But you want to do it. There's something inside of you that's saying, is it really that hard? Is it something that I can actually do? Like, for example, video or doing, and we deal with that. It's a struggle with a lot of people who are in, for example, real estate or in the industry. They're thinking about how they can improve and better their business. And really getting in front of people and being kind of that showcase person. Getting over limiting beliefs about yourself is really, I think, what I want to improve on, but in the process, I want to help everybody else improve on that.
Aww.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think those limiting beliefs, if you can get over those things, then you'll find that it actually wasn't that bad. Like you did it, and oh my God, I've achieved it. Like I'm doing what I said I thought I could never do. 5 years ago, you wouldn't catch me dead here. But I'm doing it now and I've done it. And now it's like, wow, what's next, right? How else do I grow if I don't get over those limiting beliefs about myself?
Yeah. Welcome to the Womanhood Lectures, where each week we bring you topics and discussions on issues that matter to you, the modern day woman. We hope to inspire and empower you on your journey of womanhood each and every week as we talk about the nitty-gritty, the things that perhaps you don't want to talk about out on the street, at work, but you do want to talk about with your friends. We invite you to join us on a weekly basis as we delve into those topics just for you. I'm your host, Yasmin.
And I'm Lyra.
And we invite you to join us and take a seat at our table, curl up with your favorite drink, and join us for our topics of discussion. You
can like and share this with all of your friends, and you can find us on YouTube, Instagram, also on Rumble, and please help us reach as many women as possible. And with that, let's start. I guess today we are actually going to do something a little bit different. There's really no topic in mind other than who the heck are we, right?
Absolutely.
So we are both obviously women who just want to talk about our feelings, our thoughts on certain topics that, resonate with us. So I guess maybe you start. Tell us who you are.
So as I said, I'm Yasmin. I am a therapist, I'm a coach, I'm a mother of 3, I'm a wife, and I'm kind of a woman on a mission. I'm looking to really explore and delve into reclaiming my femininity right now. I feel like the last couple of years, I've spent so much time trying to be all the things, do all the things, and it's come to a point where I kind of burnt out. I don't know about you, but the world got a little crazy.
Yes, it did.
I just kind of like had to stop and figure myself out again.
Right.
And so in that process, I started to delve into what it is to be a woman, what it is to be more feminine, because I spent so many years being all things to all people. I was such a yes girl. I was like, yeah, I can do that for you. Yep, I'm here for you. And then one day I realized I had nothing left for me.
Yeah.
And so I kind of decided that, it was time for me to start reclaiming what it is, what my role is, and figuring out how to delegate and how to distribute some of the things that are going on in my life and not take so much on. And I kind of think that that's, a hallmark of femininity.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's really driven me in a different direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
What about me? Well, first of all, having you around me has helped me a lot. I love all the women in my life. I think women are just fantastic beings, and we are so many things to so many different people. And I do believe that it takes a village. So when we share this messaging today about all of the things that we are, I think there's a lot of women out there who share in that. Like, we constantly have to wear several hats. When I say I do believe that it takes a village, community is everything. It's kind of been a little bit skewed the last 4 years on what community really is. There's been a lot of, things that have gone on that I think a lot of people have a hard time assessing and evaluating. Like, what does this mean for the family? What does it mean for women? I think a lot of people have lost touch with who they are. So that this conversation and the constant conversations we are going to be having are very important to me. I am a realtor, which is a ton of work, a mother as well as a wife. And with that and all the hats that I wear, I adventure into becoming my true authentic self. And that's something you've helped me with. A lot of the girls in my world have helped me with, including my 2 daughters. So, when I share the messaging with you, I come from more of an empowerment position. I believe that we can overcome so much if we just put our heads down and focus on ourselves and kind of build on our dreams and build on what we want to achieve. I firmly believe that. Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a lazy girl. I'm like let's do a little less hustle and a little more magic and a little more letting other people, like I've totally come into that.
Okay.
That's a new thing for me.
Yes.
Right? Like I've always been a little bit more of a laid back person, but this whole idea of like, let me sit back and let me wait to see what the other person does, or let me sit back and wait. Like I have not been that way my whole life. I've been, go for it. You want to get something done, you got to do it yourself. Lone wolf, like I did that whole thing all the way through from the time that I was young. I was working when I was like 14.
Yeah,
and I've
same
never
here.
stopped. Like, did you have a part-time job that just moved into like full-time work and full-time life?
I always had to have work because at a young age I had to, struggle and get to business, right? And figure out my life. And it helped me grow, and it helped me develop into, I guess, a multifaceted person, right? Like I can do several different things. But yes, I think that you and I are different on that respect, but there's still some similarities. We still have similar wants and desires in our lives. And I'm more hustle bustle, like let's go. And it's sometimes I have to tell myself to turn myself off. It's now 10 o'clock at night. Stop thinking so much and stop doing so much. But I do believe that we are similar in that respect.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can't really get rid of that. I think part of it has to do with our backgrounds. Like, my family came here when I was young. I wasn't born in North America.
Yep,
and
neither was I.
When you are the child or children of immigrant parents, it's a different ballgame.
It's get real. Yeah. Like right now, we have to do this.
You got to work hard. You got to earn everything that you get in life, and nothing's going to be given to you. Like it was that whole mentality that we were brought up with, right?
Right.
Which is beautiful. It made us into very efficient, very hardworking people. And you get to a point in your life where you're just constantly going, and you might hit a point where you're burning out. And I know I hit that point.
Right.
And so I started like re-examining all of that. And I was like, is this really working for me? Okay, there are good things in that, but then there's also a lot of things that I don't really need to do all the time.
Right.
And it doesn't need to be perfect all the time. I mean, I don't know about you, but like there's this whole level of perfectionism that kind of came with my upbringing.
Yes.
Where like you can't show up unless you're like, you're good, you're together, you've just got everything thought out, and I was like, it can get really, really tiring.
Yes.
So I kind of feel like I'm leaning into this idea of like, okay, how can I get supported instead of me supporting myself all the time and me supporting everyone around?
Right.
And then in that, it's like, how can I resource myself enough and like fill my own cup so that I actually do have more to give to others.
Right.
So that I can do all the things that I want to do, but not from a place of lack and not from a place of scarcity or a place where I'm like running on this hamster wheel like in fear all the time.
Yes.
And so like that's kind of that little nuanced divide where I started, really exploring, okay, what is it that I really want and what do I want to do? And how can I do that more efficiently? And I actually felt like doing a little bit less made things a lot more simple for me and more efficient. So I know you are definitely.
I'm totally opposite. Oh my God. Everything you're saying to me is like going here and then over my head.
That's okay. I'm your yin to the
To
yang.
the yang.
in
You know what? I
Absolutely.
have to be doing something. It's
Okay.
I have to do something.
Yeah.
Like I can't just be. Yeah. I'm trying. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
But yes, it is the pressure from childhood to going through school, and then obviously, raising a family, and, focusing on that and trying to be perfect, but also there's that guilt. And I know a lot of moms feel this. It's that mom guilt of, oh my gosh, like, am I doing enough? Are my children getting enough? Am I doing enough for this? Is my career good enough? Am I selling enough houses? Is there enough money in the bank? Like, we're always constantly worried about what we're not doing and if we're doing enough. And that perfectionism, you're right, it can almost be crippling. It's crippling to some extent. But, how do you move away from that is the question, right? How did I move away from that? To be honest with you, I think there is a balancing act constantly happening now. And at the beginning of this, I said, it does take a village. It does take a community. But what's happened to me in finding my true authentic self is taking that time for myself. And you're right. Like, is it enough? I mean, I definitely need a vacation, but, taking that hour at the gym in the morning, it's my time. I'm not with my kids. Everybody gets dropped off. Everybody's handled. And I just focus on myself. And as much as it's hard work, it's my time. Right.
And that's beautiful. Because,
and I love that.
Yeah. Because your me time is working out at the gym.
Yes.
Amazing. I mean, everyone's different. My me time is meditation.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Surprise, surprise. Yeah. So that's like the first thing that I do in the morning. And that's my way of getting centered. It's my way of just starting my day from a place of like, I got this. I'm going to respond to things rather than being inundated and being in this mode of like, oh my gosh, like emails, phone calls, got to get back to this person. Like, I hate starting my day like that.
Right.
And so I just made like a commitment to myself that I will not turn on my phone first thing in the morning. I will not look at a screen for the first 15,
that's so great.
20 minutes, half an hour of my day. And yeah, and that's okay. And I was there. I was absolutely there. But it really took me to kind of make that commitment. And for me, I had to try it. Like, I tried it for 30 days. And I was like, okay, I'm just literally going to turn my phone off at night, not turn it on, because it's just that one extra thing where now I have to turn it on, now I have to check it. So if I just turned it off at night, left it, then I'd be like, ooh, instead of reaching for it first thing, I'm going to reach for a glass of water. I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm going to like sit in my closet and I'm just going to have some quiet time for myself. And that worked for me. And I literally started with 5 minutes to myself. That turned into 10 minutes. That turned into 15. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. 15, 20 minutes. I center myself. I just do like a guided meditation. And that really gets me in a place where I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I got myself, and like nothing's gonna really move me in a direction that I don't want to go. So it helps me to stay really intentional.
Oh, that's
about my day.
amazing.
And that for you might be working out. Like, that to me is a form of kind of getting your mind in a way, in a frame that you want to kind of tackle your day, where you get to choose what you do first and
Yes.
what takes your attention.
It is.
Right?
And I always try to motivate other people in my life to do the same, because some people say, I don't have time to work out, I don't have time to do this, but believe it or not, just doing that one thing has created so much time to do other things, because I have taken care of myself. So I'm less tired. I'm more active. I eat better. I make better choices. I'm, go. I have a lot more energy. I know there's a lot of moms out there. I've had several conversations where 2:00 hits and you want to just take a quick nap because you're like exhausted, right? Mm-hmm. I don't even take naps anymore. Like, I don't even need it, because I have so much more energy, because I take that time
at the beginning of your day.
At the beginning of the day to take care of me. That's it.
That's beautiful.
So it's been a beautiful thing. I definitely like that. That being said, I mean, we're having a conversation about women and womanhood lectures. Like, we're going to talk about several different topics. I can say for a fact that some of them may be a little touchy, especially when we talk about marriage and husbands. But
And parenting and children.
And parenting for sure, and children.
Come on, all of it.
For sure. What do you think is most important, though, to women?
Ooh, I kind of feel like right now women are looking to find their authentic voice and kind of a way that they can really like define themselves a little bit better. I feel like a lot of things have become very blurred in the last few years with womanhood. And like, who are we? And like, what do we really actually want? Because, you know, you think about where we started in terms of like what women wanted maybe 100 years ago. It's not like we don't want the same things. It's not like we don't want, you know, to have our authentic voice heard, to be able to have equal opportunity. But it has changed a lot. And it's really nuanced now. And there's so many other factors that are playing into womanhood, like social media, like, you know, what we're seeing on the TV, the things that are happening in the world. I mean, there's real stuff that's kind of, you know, really important. And some of it can be really triggering.
Some of it's actually pretty scary when you think about it.
Yeah.
I myself, like, sometimes have to just turn it off just to focus on the things that are important. And we think of very sensitive topics like child trafficking. And, you know, there's a lot of things that are happening that have come to the forefront, to the surface, that is on mainstream media, that is, you know, being talked about on, you know, regular YouTube, that are concerning and very stressful to think about as a parent, as a mother, as a woman, you know. And so that being said, I think it's important that women, you know, are heard, are seen, are, you know, we have a lot going on, a lot that triggers us, a lot that's going on in the world, but you're right, it's kind of the same answer. We want to be seen, we want to be heard, we want to talk about the very fundamental issues that have happened and taken place in the last 100 years, for sure, but also what's happening now. Like, what's happening now? What are the turning points for women? What is happening to women? What is happening to the language that's being used right now in regards to women, and how do we shape that so that we can become more balanced with men?
Like
I
love that.
The masculine side, right? That's a discussion I think that we'll have coming up in future. Yeah.
So what lights you up right now?
What lights me up?
Yeah. What are the things that are bringing you joy, that are empowering you, that are like pushing you forward or pulling you forward?
I've become a very simple person over time. You know, I love to cook. I love to have friends over, you know, like, you know that, right?
Your charcuterie board queen.
My charcuterie boards are insane, for sure. But generally speaking, I think what lights me up is just seeing other people happy, you know, and I've come to a place in my life where you're not always going to be able to change people around you, but you can affect them or present yourself in a way to support who they are. So how I've shown up differently in people's lives. You know, I'm not the major wreck that I was before, inundated with a lot of emotional trauma or any type of issues. So when I show up, I like to show up in a way that's healthy, you know, and what lights me up is just the interaction with others. You know, I feel like a lot of people are trying to reach that point in their lives where they are their true authentic selves. And what lights me up is seeing that, other than traveling and going on vacation and definitely seeing the world. And I have a bucket list for sure. One of them being this show. So we are here now, which is great.
Absolutely.
What about you?
I love that.
I know that you're just a light. You're just a wonderful
You're
light.
so cute. Okay, so this is going to sound really corny, but I love these moments at home. So I have 3 kids, right? And I love these moments at home when everyone's in my kitchen and someone's cooking, someone's talking about something, one kid's on their phone, and they're just all kind of like, it's like a scene out of a movie where like everyone's kind of doing this dance, but we're all interacting together, and then someone says something, and then one of us jumps in and is like, oh my God, yeah, I saw that thing, and then we all laugh. Like that moment to me is like, that's just it. So I'm someone who's really, really focused on my family.
Oh, that's amazing.
And just, I get a lot of joy out of seeing my kids get along. Like, let's be real.
Yes.
Honestly,
Well,
like,
yeah,
right?
that's a given for
That's
sure.
like
Yeah.
just seeing them actually, like, because when they were younger, they did get along as kids, right? But there's moments in time when, like, one of them has hated the other, and
For a week
one of them,
or for a long period of
oh
time?
my God, a long period of time. Like, I want to push this kid out of the car, kind of like fantasies that I find out about later, and I'm just
Right.
like, do you need help? Like, what do you mean you wanted to push your brother out of the car? Okay, glad you never did that and never even voiced that. But,
Right.
you know, years later, I find out about all these like funny things. But now it's kind of like this beautiful, healthy respect and interaction between them as they're going through, like, they're all teenagers now, right?
Right.
And it's kind of cool to see that, and that gives me so much joy. Like, to me, I feel like kids, the one thing you can give your kids is the gift of a sibling. It's the one legacy you leave behind
For sure.
that no one can give them.
Right.
No amount of money can take over that. No big house, like, nothing. That legacy of having, like, a family member that was a gift from your parents. I know some people are like, my sibling is not a gift for me, but that's okay. I truly believe, like, at the end of
But
the
there's
day,
some people who just have one kid and that's it, right?
that's
And
me.
like, yeah.
That was
Oh,
me.
yeah.
Yes, I'm a single child. So, like, I felt that loneliness growing up, and I really, really wanted someone around, like, that camaraderie. It's different when you have a sibling versus
Yes.
your parents. I mean, my parents did their best and they loved me and everything, but it's not the same.
It's not.
Yeah, and I personally, like, I sought all of that out in my friendships, right? So, like, you, my good friends, like, you guys are all my sisters by choice,
Right.
right? You're my siblings by choice. But yeah, those moments are, like, literally light me up. Other than, you know, things like, of course, traveling and, like, good food and dancing and music and, like, yeah.
Yes.
Like, I would say, like, I'm definitely a woman who's into, like, the feminine kind of, like, movement and, like, just loosening myself up in a certain
Yes.
way, and, like, yeah. So
I
that's
can totally see that.
Yeah. You know me. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, you know, we mentioned what lights us up. Like, is there something that you're working on right now about yourself that you're like, you know, this is what I want to improve on in the next little while?
Yeah.
You know?
I think for me, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable
Okay.
is, like, a really big goal. Because I've spent a lot of my time, like I said before, being a yes girl, being, like, sort of, like, always presenting a good face and a good front, and, like, this a little bit of perfectionism that's been part of my life. And so now when I try to do new things, it just feels really hard to try new things, to look silly,
Yes.
to not have the right words all the time, right? And so I think that right now, like, this year, when we were talking about putting this together, I was terrified and I was excited all at the same time. And I'm like,
But you
oh my
did
God,
it.
that's the thing
And
that
you-
I got.
we jumped, right?
That is the
We
thing that I
jumped
have to
into
do,
it.
because
Yeah.
it's telling me that when I'm excited about something and a little nervous, okay,
Right.
that's
Go
where I
into
gotta
it.
go.
Go
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah, yeah. So every
Go and
time
jump for it.
now, when I find something in my life that's, like, a little bit terrifying and exciting at the same time, I'm like, oh, okay, that's the next thing I have to do.
Yes.
Right. And I really have to get more comfortable with that, like, unknown and being uncomfortable and unperfect and all of the things. So that's kind of like my 2024 goal. Yeah. What about you?
Ooh, 2024. 2024, I said I want more,
Mm-hmm.
right? So lots is happening. That's not grammatically correct. But anyways, there is a lot happening, and I appreciate just the grand picture of what my goals are and what I want to improve on. So what I want to improve on is so big. It encompasses a lot of different aspects of who I am, but it starts with what we discussed, which is being my authentic self. And I find myself reaching out to a lot of women and a lot of people in my life and saying, whatever limiting beliefs you have about yourself, you've got to let them go. Like, you know, if you're not going to do something that you want to do because you're setting yourself back and saying, you know what, I don't want to do it. I feel uncomfortable. This is not what I want to do. It's not me. But you want to do it. There's something inside of you that's saying, is it really that hard? Is it something that I can actually do? Like, for example, video or doing, and we deal with that. It's a struggle with a lot of people who are in, for example, real estate or in the industry. They're thinking about how they can improve and better their business. And really getting in front of people and being kind of that showcase person. Getting over limiting beliefs about yourself is really, I think, what I want to improve on, but in the process, I want to help everybody else improve on that.
Oh.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think those limiting beliefs, if you can get over those things, then you'll find that it actually wasn't that bad. Like you did it, and oh my God, I've achieved it. Like I'm doing what I said I thought I could never do. 5 years ago, you wouldn't catch me dead here. But I'm doing it now, and I've done it, and now it's like, wow, what's next, right? How else do I grow if I don't get over those limiting beliefs about myself?
Yeah. And the amazing thing about it is when you do something in your life, you don't have to tell people about it. They will see it.
Yeah,
they will notice it. Your children will learn, your people will learn about you through what you're doing and how you're modeling your behavior.
Exactly.
Like that's the cool thing about it. It's like you can just start showing up differently and people will be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's who you are now.
Exactly.
Right? And you're like teaching people who you are along the way.
Through
your transformation.
Through who you are and through how you behave and how you present yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. I think it makes a difference in a lot of people's lives, for sure. Yes.
I love that. So what do you think we want to bring to the table for our listeners and our viewers?
Well, besides controversy.
Besides going down 500 million rabbit holes that we talk about, anytime we can get our hands on it. But yeah, besides that.
What do we want to bring? We want to touch on topics that are very important in this day and age, for sure.
Okay, so I'm going to push you on that. What's important? What do you think? I'm curious because there are things obviously that we want to talk about that at some points, maybe later down the line, might be a little bit more controversial. But right now, what do you think's really, really important for women? And I know we kind of touched on this.
I think a lot of women want to know how to navigate this world right now when it comes to men, for sure.
Yeah.
Women want to know how to navigate this world when it comes to relationships with men and then also relationships with their children. I find that that's very conflictual, especially with, what's happened in the last, handful of years. How to handle the outside world. Like we've never really been faced with this and in this time, in this age, the outside world is so inundating. It's okay, chaotic for sure, but it's inundating. Like we're not supposed to believe this because other people believe this and this is wrong. So we're not going to think that way, but you think that way and it's genuinely innately who you are, but you can't say it out loud. Otherwise you'll offend somebody. So I think women want to talk about the things that are really inside of them that they can't really talk about because it's, borderline wrong.
It's not always politically correct.
It's not.
Right?
Right.
But it's in your heart.
It's in your heart.
Right? You're actually thinking these things. I want to say the things out loud that people are actually thinking about.
100%.
Because how else are you going to live an authentic life? How else are you going to actually be true to yourself?
Absolutely.
Right? And attract the people that resonate with you.
Yes. But let's say somebody doesn't resonate, there is, it's hard to explain this correctly. Maybe it's going to come out a little wrong, but, there's going to be a group of people that believe such and such. There's going to be a group of people who believe this. Why would anybody be offended that they're just different? That we have different perspectives on life. We have different ways that we were raised up as children. Obviously both of us are immigrants to Canada. There's going to be different things that we've experienced along our journeys in life that have brought us to this moment and define who we are as ladies, as women, right? We have different morals, principles, spiritualities, right? We are just different. There's nothing wrong with expressing ourselves and then sharing in that, with other people who believe the same way. Now, for people who don't, they can look at it and say, oh, that's a great opinion. don't see it that way, but it's an opinion nonetheless, and it's an expression of thought. So I'm hoping to bring that to the forefront.
Don't you find, though, that right now, when you do express an opinion, people have so much to say about it, especially online.
Yes.
Right? Like sometimes I'll be following someone and I'll see something that they post and I'm like, interesting, not quite how I see it. And then you see the comments underneath.
Oh, yes.
And you're just like, oh my gosh, like, do people, would someone say that to your face? Probably not.
I love it. When somebody attacks me, I love it.
Whoa, really? Oh my gosh.
Because it's not an attack. It's really just an opinion.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, because you're attacking me, it's not going to change my opinion.
Yeah.
I appreciate your opinion.
Yeah.
Good luck with that opinion. I don't mean it like that. I mean it to say, we're different people. Mm-hmm. So by all means, if that's what you believe, then power to you. Just like I want you to believe me in my power to express who I am.
I think we should be bringing back healthy debate.
Yes, absolutely. Healthy debate would be amazing to bring back. Mm-hmm. And especially amongst women, I find that women try to reserve themselves or hold themselves back, or maybe they might be a little catty about certain things. Like, who cares? Like at the end of the day, you're going to go home to your family and I'm going to go home, and we're all going to have the similar challenges, just in our own worlds, right?
Makes sense.
It is
totally
what it
makes
is.
sense.
We're still dealing with this massive world that we live in that's inundating us with lots of things, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So hopefully it won't be that big of a deal.
Yeah, and you know what? And I think that we just, like, people need to understand that you can agree to disagree.
Totally.
And you can still be civil about it.
Yes.
You can still be respectful of the other person.
100%.
And it doesn't have to take away from who you are. And maybe that's what it is too. Like, sometimes people feel like if someone else doesn't see things the way I see things, maybe that's making you question how you see things.
Yes.
Maybe that's making you question your own identity. And so that is the thing that I think you need to look at as an individual and not attack the other person.
Right.
Like, they're just being them. And they're just showing up in your sphere, being themselves, thinking how they think.
Right.
So if you're a strong person, if you're someone who's committed to your own values, then that shouldn't really shake you, shouldn't really rock you. It should actually enlighten you and open you up for more discussion. Like, oh, interesting, you think that way. Why is that?
Right.
Right? And a lot of people are like, you think that way? You're terrible.
Yes, you're wrong. I don't want to
You're
hang
wrong.
out with
I don't want to listen to it. La 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 la. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's so crazy to me sometimes. I'm like, okay, we're just talking.
Right.
Like, this shouldn't be affecting your life that much.
I think it's just divisive at the end of the day. And an opinion is an opinion. I really honestly think that as women, we have a lot more in common. I run into women, or I have women in my life that maybe I've known for a handful of years. And then when we sit down and we actually talk, we're like, oh my gosh, we kind of have like similar lives, or we share in similar thoughts, because I think that our experiences are very similar. We may not have, I guess I might not have a lot in common with somebody who's, say, single, raising a child, on their own. But when we start talking, there's a lot of understanding between the two, because we share in what it's like to raise children. So, that's what I mean by that. We do have more similarities and more commonalities amongst each other than we allow ourselves to share.
And then then we think our differences are.
Yes, I do. I 100% believe that we have more in common. So broadly, when we're talking about these topics that we talk about, I think that we have a lot to say that will resonate with a lot of people, and a lot of women, and a lot of women who are going to eventually have children and eventually have families, but also just women in general. I think there's a lot of things that we say that you may want to say out loud one day,
I agree.
Yeah. 100%.
So with that, I guess we're going to figure out and bring to our viewers our next topic.
Yes.
Which is, nothing big, just feminism.
Just feminism.
Yeah.
What's
not a big deal.
It's an ism.
Yeah, it's another ism.
It's another ism.
Yeah, I'm really excited to delve deep into the whole idea of feminism, where we've started, where we are now. It's going to be really interesting.
Yes.
And juicy.
I think it's a very big topic right now.
Yeah.
it's far more intricate now than it's ever been, because there's some people who believe that it's been taken to an extent, but now it doesn't really make any sense.
Yes, and we will definitely...
Which is something we talked about before,
Yes.
that most of the time I do sit in confusion with what is going on.
You're a confused woman.
Yes, I am very confused. And when I say confused, I mean we can't really put a little finger on it, but there's just something that doesn't feel right, right? About what's going on today, what's happening in the world, all of that kind of coinciding with, you know, our expression as women, what we have to deal with. Like, it feels a little different. It feels very confusing on how the right way to be is.
So I have a little pivotal question for you.
Ooh.
Yeah, just gonna turn things a little bit. What has been a really pivotal or transformational moment in your life? Or even a time in your life?
I would say that time is now for me.
Ooh.
Yeah, obviously, like, you go through life, you get married, you have children, like that's what's happened to me. Those things have been transformational, very important moments. But I believe my time is now. Yes,
I like
do.
that. Okay.
Yeah, very transitional. I've grown into who I am. I've become a lot more confident in who I am. I can share my thoughts a lot more clearer now. I can see the world a lot more clearer now. I feel like, you know, people use the term awake, but I have been awake for a very long time, but now I can actually express that thought process a lot better. If I want something, I go for it, you know? So yes, I believe that moment is now for me.
Wow.
What about you?
For me, I would say becoming a mother.
Okay.
That shifted a lot for me.
You're an amazing mom.
Oh, thank you. I was definitely one of those girls who is like sort of meek and quiet and like very nice. Like, I think people would describe
You're still
me.
very nice.
Well, people would describe me as like, she's so nice. And like in a way where I'm like, I feel like
It's an insult?
I don't know if it was an insult, but at the time it was like, I was so nice that like, I almost felt like people could just walk all over me, right? I was like Rachel. Okay, from Friends, like she's just so nice and like she's always like, yes, okay, of course, right? I was that girl, right?
Okay.
And I don't
I don't see you as like somebody.
that was
walk
me
all
younger.
over.
That
Okay,
was me
okay.
younger, right?
All
That was like teenage me in my 20s, right? And I don't, and I love her. She did, like, she's the base of who I am. But becoming a mother totally brought out the tiger in me. Like, it totally shifted me.
Mama bear.
Yeah, that mama
out.
bear. I was just like, suddenly I had boundaries, and suddenly I was like, no, I can't do that for you, actually, right? And it was really fascinating for me to, like, when I look back, it's really fascinating for me to see, like, oh my gosh, like, I feel like I really grew a backbone overnight. Because, you know, my first one came in hot and heavy and like emergency C-section and like all the things.
Right.
And so even that experience, I was like, I kind of felt a little bit out of control. Like, people are just rushing in and baby's heart, you know, heartbeat's dropping and like, we need to get you in the OR stat. And like 5 minutes later, they're cutting me open. And I'm like, what just happened? I feel like I didn't even have a moment to say, hold on a second.
Right.
Right. And even so from that moment, I was like, never again am I not going to have like at least some say,
Right.
at least like be able to kind of like navigate myself and like have a boundary and be like, hold on a second. I got to think about this.
Right.
Whereas before I was just being like, okay, I trust you. Like, just do your thing. Right. And so that moment and then having my kids slowly over time really, really shifted things for me, where I became a lot stronger. I became someone who had more boundaries, someone who, and again, like, the good thing about that is like my boundaries aren't about keeping people out or keeping things out of my sphere. My boundaries are about how expanded am I? How much can I love and give and do? And then this is where that line is, right? So like, I like to think of it that way versus this negative of like, I'm just going to say no to everything and I'm going to block you all out. It's not a block. It's just like this really healthy way that I get to love myself.
Right.
So yeah, like coming into motherhood was definitely pivotal for me. Because I definitely feel like I came from a place of of not really owning myself and not really owning my voice and not really speaking out for myself and speaking up for myself. So I had to do it when I had kids because buck stops with me.
Right.
And when someone crosses a line that affects them, suddenly I was just like, oh, wait, hold up. No. That's not going to work, right? It's not going to work for her, for that kid. Definitely not going to work for me. And so I was able to kind of like, come into that. So I really like that. And you probably were always like that.
I had to learn how to be like that for my kids.
Yeah,
so
right?
Yeah, I've been very defensive since I was a kid. So I find myself less defensive now, but it's more to defend, my position in life. But part of that is just childhood, growing up with so many siblings.
How many siblings do you have?
I have 2 brothers, 2 sisters.
So, okay,
yeah,
so
there's
big
5
family.
of us. And I just had to always protect myself. I had to defend, always just be on the defense of some sort of attack or situation, or So from then, I was just always very protective of everything. But to some extent, it could be negative, where you're always in what is it? Flight or flight mode,
yes.
Right? Fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time in that mode, and now that's what I mean by I've come to a point where I think that time is now, where I get it.
Yeah, and you don't have to
understand
live.
it.
Yeah, you don't have to live in that.
I don't have to live in that. Yeah. I'm in more control of where I'm at. To some degree, I'm in control of myself as an individual, which is important. I wish this for everyone. It's definitely a journey, a challenge to get there, but to have that strength and that, volition to say, I get it. I'm ready to do everything I need to do to be my true, authentic self.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. It's almost like we've come to the same point but from completely different journeys.
Different journeys.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's like we're sort of coming into this point where we're like, I own myself. I know what I'm doing.
Yes.
I'm good with where I'm at.
Yeah, and I can help somebody else do exactly what I'm doing, to get to a place where you're strong. You can start talking about the things that you want to talk about, and you can feel like I can express myself and express my thoughts, and I can be free to think what I need to think, right? So
yeah, and you're okay with the haters.
Totally okay with the haters.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
Are you not okay with the haters? What are you going to do about it?
No, I know I'm not going to do anything about it. Like, what can I do?
No,
right?
you can't.
Yeah. No. I'm okay with it, but there's also a part of me that's like, oh, it'll hurt. It hurts when someone's kind of like, attacking you in a way that's very individual and very personal. Like, that's where I'm kind of like, listen, honestly, just you do you.
Yes.
Let me do me.
Well, I don't think that we can control that. And it's one thing I don't think it's even worth a thought to some degree, because you can't control it, right? So,
I'm going to work on that. I'm going to work on it's okay if people don't like me.
It's okay. You're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to like you.
No, I know that.
And that's the thing. It's okay. If everybody lived like that or just thought like that, it's okay. We are meant to navigate this world with certain people that come our way, certain people that like us. There's going to be people who don't. And we just have to focus on the people that like us and that are in our world and that understand what we're expressing and are okay with that message.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's your support system,
exactly.
Right? Everyone else is just doing their thing.
But I think that we're sharing some pretty great messaging, empowerment for women to say, yes, these are the topics that are a bit controversial. These are some ideas that we have, but there's no reason to dislike it or discredit it. It is a thought process that a lot of women share. And you can take the messaging and say, hey, that makes a little bit of sense, and it's okay for me to think that. It's okay. You're going to be all right.
There are always going to be nuggets in anything,
exactly.
especially in things that you don't agree with.
Yeah.
Like,
not everyone's going to like you.
That's right. And not everyone's going to agree with you. So that's how you grow and you expand and you mature.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I appreciate this time with you. I really look forward to all the future conversations we have and all the topics that we can share together.
Beautiful. I love it. So, again, you guys can find us on YouTube.
Yes.
Instagram. Spotify and Rumble.
Yes.
And until next time.
Yes. Like and share, please.